So essentially, once you've taken your basic credentialing and your basic education, that opens the world of continuing education, which is both brand specific and within the brand's caliber specific. I know you trained with Chopard, with Breitling, with Hublot, with Omega, and you know feature.
Well, the first certification that I got was the CW21. And that was, at the time when I took it, that was the benchmark Rolex exam. I was working at a center where we had a Rolex parts account. If you wanted to keep that parts account, every watchmaker that worked on those watches had to have the CW21 certification, or they were not allowed to even decase a watch. They couldn't do it more than basically touch the watch. So I took the CW21, and when I took it, it was a 4-day long exam, consisted of 5 parts, a 1-day written exam. And if you got up during the written exam to go to the bathroom, you were done. That was it. You know, it was that strict. We also had a 2892. We had a 7750. We had a 955 quartz, and we had a micromechanical balance staff project. You could allocate your own time as to doing it. You had 4 days to do it, and then knowing you're not going to complete it all, you're going to come back and finish the parts you didn't make. You didn't pass the first time. So the basic thing was time allocation. Focus on the harder parts. Get them done. You could always come back and do one more course and finish it up. So that was the first benchmark that I took, and I took that. I never attended a formal school up to that point. That was what I took, and that was my first benchmark. And when I really decided this was the career that I wanted to stay with and just to try to advance in.
Now it's important to note that there are people, our apprentice watchmaker Pedro is actually one of them, who is attending the AWCI instructional courses, and he's learning most of his knowledge through hands-on apprenticeship here under Mike.
The same way I learned.
Exactly. So you don't necessarily have to attend a school. There are many paths if you have the determination. But also, anyone can be a member of the AWCI. You have to be a member to start taking their courses. So I'm a member, Mike's a member, anyone with enthusiasm for the watch can be a member and take those courses starting from the beginning.
Yeah, there's also satellite courses too. Down here in Florida, the Florida Watchmakers, they offer courses every year. They just had one back in October. And there's courses in satellite. If you're in different states, you can always find the information and find where to go just to take a course. And I would really advise, try it. Sit down. Sit down and see what we do, and then you have more appreciation for what's inside of your watch and what you're collecting.
It's like taking a much more professional and edifying version of the master classes that some of the brands hold at their boutiques. Yeah. So we're going to do a quick wrist check here. Tonight I'm wearing my newly dented Jerome Master Grand Memovox. This is a perpetual calendar and alarm, and it's got gorgeous dents in the lugs thanks to
a wearable one.
Yeah, thanks to a door hinge. I don't know if I can quite capture that, but trust me, I felt it like it was my own flesh. Mike, what are you wearing?
Yeah, actually, I'm wearing the same thing I had last week. I'm wearing my Tudor. And my Tudor Heritage, which I absolutely love. It's just beautiful colors on the watch, and I always get compliments when I wear the watch, especially on the NATO strap.
So if you're wondering what the watchmaker himself wears, basically a modular chronograph based on an ETA. It's all about getting the style, the size, and the attitude of that watch,
what's comfortable on your wrist.
So we're also going to talk a little bit now about parts and parts accounts, but first I want to jump into a couple of the questions. Mike, what's your favorite movement to work on based on a question from the field?
One of my favorite movements, because I've done so many of them and they're so serviceable, are going to be Rolex movements. You know what you're getting into when you do a Rolex movement. You know where the wear points are, you know what to look for, you know what the weak points are, because each one, they all have their own idiosyncrasies. 3035 doesn't like to be wound because parts wear out in the barrel bridge. The 3135 doesn't like to be set. We discussed that a little bit last week. It's just a very predictable movement. Again, you know what you're getting into when you do it. But what I like the challenges. Last week I did the 240D Patek Philippe, which the perpetual calendar, which is one of my favorite movements to work on, but it's one of those movements I have to be really left alone to do it. And it's a challenge of not only a complication, but you also have Geneva seal, every screw is polished, you have to stop, and we talked about that again last week too. Just the way you have to finish your screwdrivers, the extra care that has to be taken on every piece and every part, and the adjustments have to be absolutely perfect. That's the challenge that I like. Anyone can sit down and just take a movement apart and put it back together. Give me those challenges where it's so much more fine work.
So basically there are two levels. There are the movements that are big, thick, stable, common, and go together like Legos that are really just satisfying to work on and well known. And then there's the high art, the one Mike might come in on the weekend to work on just so he can have clear head space.
Exactly.